the Energy Systems Integration Group, ESIG, has a 6-part approach to reliability planning. And I can run through the 6 parts briefly. First one is focus on the kind of outage that you have in mind to plan for. Is it a big winter-driven system outage? Is it a failure of the largest power plant in the system, or is it a transmission failure? What is it? What is exactly the reliability issue that you're planning for? And then along with that, instead of just using the loss of load expectation, which is that 1 day in 10 years standard, use some of the other industry standards like expected unserved energy, which is the industry standard that says how long an outage lasts, its duration, and its impact, how broad, how many people are engaged. So that's effective. That's EUE, expected unserved energy. That's another industry standard and one that the ESIG folks think should be used. Second point is the weather information. These big electric systems are dependent on the weather. And so figuring out what the weather's going to do is always tricky, but it really helps to have coordinated weather data so that you're not picking one set of data for winter, another set for summer, one set for solar, another set for wind, and you've got a consistent weather data set to work with. That's the second principle from ESIG. The third one, realize there's no perfect capacity. There's no 100% capacity factor generator that's available to us. They all have outages. They all need maintenance. They come on and off. Nuclear plants need to be refueled, so they're out for sometimes for months to do that refueling. Every energy resource has a probability that it might be available to produce energy when you need it, and it's that probability that you need to focus on. That's determined by an industry standard practice called effective load carrying capability, which is a probabilistic assessment of when generators might be available. There's a lot of different ways to do ELCC, effective load carrying capability, and selecting the right one and using it in the right way are tricky bits of engineering that need to be addressed. Fourth principle from ESIG, include load participation as a resource. It's not just supplies that make the balance between loads and resources. Loads can be flexible. So the big chillers on the top of commercial buildings can be cycled on and off. Doesn't affect the cooling that they maintain in the building, but that cycling can give the electric system a break when it needs one if you're set up to do that. You have to be set up to do that with communications and a tariff and so on. But that's something to work at, making sure that the load side of the supply and demand equation is part of the picture. So load participation. Fifth one, you have to think about the neighboring grids that if you're a utility, you run your own grid and you have responsibilities to keep the lights on. Those have mostly to do with the frequencies that you maintain. But think about your neighboring utility and importing power in times of distress or helping your neighbors out when they're in distress, because that can be a lot cheaper than carrying extra reserves at high cost to meet your own reliability requirements. This is something that a lot of preschoolers learn in the sandbox at preschool, which is you have more fun when you share your toys. It's not, however, common among utilities to do that. And sometimes the transmission is missing, so you have to work at that. But share your toys. It's cheaper, better, and faster. And the sixth principle, which ESIG has added to their set, is that reliability needs to be both transparent. In other words, what are you planning for? What are you including as resources? All the things we talked about before. And it needs to be an economic issue. We can't bear 100% reliability because it's too expensive. So we're going to make a compromise between cost and reliability, and the balance that is maintained between those two competing values is very important. So it's an economic issue and it's a transparency issue.